Hey everyone, and welcome to another episode of From No Crypto to No Crypto. I'm your host, the Crypto Coach, Blockchain Wayne. Today we're joined by Christian Montoya. Christian, thanks for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely, it's been a pleasure, man. Christian is with MetaMask. Many people are familiar with MetaMask, but in case we have some other people that may be listening that may be new to the space, we'll dive into what MetaMask is, what you guys have done over the years, what you're building now. But man, Christian, before we jump into what MetaMask is, can you tell us a little bit about yourself, kind of your role at MetaMask, and also maybe also intrigue the audience to know kind of what got you into this industry, into this space.
Absolutely. So I've been with MetaMask for 2.5 years. And at MetaMask, I lead part of our developer strategy, including dApps and Snap developers. So dApps are the websites that connect to MetaMask, or the mobile apps that connect to MetaMask, and use MetaMask to be able to connect to accounts and connect to the blockchain and do anything like buying and selling tokens, NFTs, logging in, things like that. And then Snaps are add-ons for MetaMask the developers could build. I'm also involved on the user side in terms of our multi-chain strategy. So users with Snaps can now access lots of different blockchains with MetaMask, and so it enables them to explore even more of the blockchain ecosystem. Before joining MetaMask, I was a user for many years. So I actually started using Ethereum in late 2016 and have seen a lot of the different cycles and use cases over that whole time frame. So I've been a big fan of Ethereum for all of that time frame, and just always really interested in seeing what developers are building on all of the different use cases that have been enabled. I was really into NFTs when that first had its heyday, and even made some NFT collections of my own, learned how to do Solidity and how to deploy contracts on Ethereum, and how I met a lot of artists who joined during that wave and started to sell their own artwork on the blockchain, which was really fascinating for me. Before joining MetaMask, I have a background in engineering, doing product management for more than 10 years, did game design, music technology, educational technology, even worked for 4.5 years in medical AI. So I've seen a lot of different consumer technical use cases. But yeah, at heart, always just been a big fan of technology. I got into computers because I wanted to build my own software, and just really like the idea of building something that users can interact with and people just really enjoy, and having that aha moment when people try something new. So I've just always been a big tech nerd at heart. Yeah.
Look, so much to unpack there. I'm sure we're going to talk about MetaMask and Snaps. I probably want to come back and talk about NFTs for a little bit, because I've been a long time fan of NFTs. Still am. I still see the future of where that's going. Because I bought my first NFT in 2017. It was a crypto kitty. I actually still have a couple of them to this day. But there's a lot that's evolving in that space, and probably going to circle back too, because I think your experience prior to crypto and Web3 is gonna you're probably gonna see a lot of that reemerge as we start to see the just the seeping of this technology into all these traditional businesses, traditional industries, traditional tech. I guess that's what I call traditional tech. I mean, I don't know what they call it. It's Web 2, traditional, whatever people want to call it, right? So, but before we jump into that, just to make sure we have time, let's jump into MetaMask. Want to unpack MetaMask a little bit more. Tell everybody, I mean, your experience with MetaMask. You guys have enabled a lot over the years, especially since you've joined them, and including Snaps, right? Snaps are important, and I think when I mention it to most people, they're still like, "Hey, what are Snaps?" So could you give kind of a brief overview of what Snaps are and how they operate within MetaMask?
Sure. So, at its core, MetaMask is a wallet, and a wallet being an application that holds the keys for your accounts, right? So on a blockchain, it's a public ledger. You have different accounts, and it's how, when users transfer coins or tokens back and forth, right? That's how much you have in your account. And so MetaMask started out, initially, there was an idea to build a blockchain browser, right? So you have a browser that also has the ability to do accounts and do transactions and so forth. If you go real back into Ethereum lore, there's the Mist browser, which was a totally revolutionary concept. But then people realized, okay, that might be a little too much, right? And, you have to think about, okay, when you connect to a website, do you really trust that website to make a transaction safely, right? So MetaMask emerged as an application for handling your accounts and interacting with dApps, right? Interacting with websites. And, there's a whole permissions model of, okay, I have an account. Do I want to give permission for that website to talk to my account? Do I then want to give permission for making a transaction or signing something and, sharing a certain amount of information? And so what MetaMask does is facilitates that interaction between an application, right, that wants to do something with the blockchain, whatever blockchain you're connected to in that data, and you, right, as a user, as an account holder, as someone who wants to do something with those applications. And so MetaMask has been the original wallet of Ethereum, right, that many people are familiar with, and has been there along that whole journey of onboarding lots of users to Ethereum, and then other networks that are similar to Ethereum, and now layer 2 networks, as Ethereum has gone on this roll-up centric roadmap that you can access layer 2 networks and even layer 3 networks to connect, bridge, and interact with lots of different applications and explore different assets. And something that became really obvious over time was, this ecosystem is going to continue to grow. There's going to be lots of different blockchains and different use cases, and it's impossible for one team to provide all of that functionality, right? To build a wallet that really lets you do everything that you want to do in the ecosystem. And so, one of our founders, Dan Finley, had this realization years ago that, hey, there needs to be a way that developers can come in and build additional functionality in a way that's safe and in a way that allows the developer to provide as much functionality as possible, but at the same time, allows users to have some assurances that, hey, this application that they're interacting with, that they're adding to their wallet, is secure. And so that's how MetaMask Snaps was born. The original idea centered around building functionality to add Cosmos to MetaMask. So Cosmos is very different from Ethereum, different account format, different smart contract language. Everything about it is unique. And so, in order to add that to MetaMask, you need to think about all of this functionality specific to Cosmos. So many years ago, they actually developed this Cosmos extension for MetaMask, and that was like the initial idea. And then, went back to the drawing board and figured out, okay, how can we make this something that we can make available to all developers and all users to be able to interact with? And so this was a platform that we developed over time. We worked with many different developers to have them battle test it, work with us to figure out how to make it really seamless for users and what are the different features that they would want to add. So we launched this platform last year in September. So we're about 8 months, I think, 10 months in at this point. And we initially launched with a few different use cases, right? One is to be able to explore other blockchain networks and different use cases, right? So connecting to different either blockchains or being able to connect different identity types, different tools, authentication tools, and so forth. Another was introduce new security tools. So there are snaps that can help warn you about malicious transactions, or if you're interacting with a malicious address or a malicious user. And then we introduced also communication snaps as well. So there are snaps that can do notifications and chat and use cases like that. And it's just been really interesting to see how that has enabled this whole new categories of functionality of developers being able to come in and build new user experiences for users and to really expand the whole feature set of what you can do with MetaMask, right? So to be able to do more with MetaMask. Since then, we've even introduced like custom account types. So now we have MPC accounts, two-factor authentication, accounts that can do social backup and recovery. And we're even exploring account abstraction right now, which is super exciting.
Oh, nice. Yeah, I think about it from my end as a protocol. Obviously, we want our protocol integrated into as many wallets as possible. But what you said really makes a lot of sense in the case of like your developers can't do everything. And most of the time when I'm talking to projects about integrating our protocol, we can't do it because, hey, it's your project. It's not like we have access to insert this into what you do. But that's in essence what Snaps has built. Like if you want your protocol, your platform, your chain to be supported, any of these types of things, then you can build it yourself within a Snap. Is that correct?
Yeah, and what's really interesting is that when you think about like a protocol, it's not just the base layer like functionality that protocol team delivers. Then there's a whole ecosystem of applications, of security products, of identity products, of other protocols that sit on top of that base protocol. So, when you look at something like Optimism, that's a protocol. On top of that, there's, Farcaster name service, right? Which is like a naming service built on top of Optimism. And in a sense, that's a protocol too. And then you have various applications on top of Optimism as well. You have other services. In terms of the whole Ethereum ecosystem, there's a whole myriad of security providers that have different security products that they operate. Some of them are bots that track malicious addresses or malicious contracts. Some of them are services that can watch an account for you and notify you if you may have been a victim of a scam or a phishing attempt or something like that. And so when you think about supporting one of these protocols, it's not just one developer team that maybe comes along and builds like a protocol snap. There's a bunch of different applications that really make up that whole experience. And so you're looking at, okay, maybe you have a few teams that come and provide security products for that specific protocol. You have a couple of teams that come along and provide identity services, naming providers, things like that. And then when these things are interoperable, so snaps can actually communicate with each other, you can build a dApp that leverages multiple snaps, then that really is providing the full experience of what users want to do in that ecosystem. And that's really how we think about it.
Okay. That was kind of going to be my next question. Obviously, I can see the benefit of if I'm trying to decide, do I want to build a Snap or a dApp, right? I mean, we mentioned both of those, and I can see the Snap seems it's more trusted, right? It's vetted. But what would be the cases where someone would want to build? Because you just touched on it briefly, right? A dApp to
Yep.
manage the snaps. So, in what cases would someone want to say, okay, maybe we'll also build a dApp for to be utilized in the MetaMask browser?
Yeah. In a lot of cases, my answer is both.
Yeah.
And it's because the way we think about it is in terms of the level of integration and the level of like user experience customization that you need access to. In a lot of cases, your dApp, your website, whether it's a website or a mobile application, that is the primary experience that you're bringing users to. So maybe let's say you have a naming service, like a place where users can buy blockchain names and so forth. There's
Yeah.
probably a dApp that is sort of like the marketplace and where users can go and configure them. But then you need a deeper integration with the wallet to then provide the functionality for how those names interact with the wallet itself. And then that's where you're building a snap to provide that functionality, right? Maybe to resolve if someone types in an address and you can say, hey, this looks like it's this name, or if someone wants to type that name and resolve it to an address, but also maybe users want the functionality to manage, configure their names, or even get notifications. So I use ENS as an example a lot. That's the Ethereum name service. On ENS, you reserve a name for a certain number of years. You may want a notification that tells you, hey, this name is about to go expire. You need to go renew it, right? That's something that you need at the wallet level. Your dApp doesn't have the ability to do that, but with Snaps, you can do that inside of MetaMask. So yeah, what I tell a lot of developers is think about the whole experience of what you want to provide. You're probably going to start with a dApp that makes up like the majority of the functionality that you have. But then when you need to do a deeper wallet integration and you need some custom functionality that MetaMask doesn't already offer, now you're thinking about building a snap.
Gotcha. Yeah. And that's kind of how we got into it. I mean, obviously, our protocol is does a naming service as well, but our chain was not, is not EVM, so it was great to be able to similar like we saw, like you mentioned with Cosmos. I think when I told my team about the snaps when I first found out about them was an announcement about Tezos being building
Yep.
a snap, right? And since then, I've seen Soulflare as well. It's about to use your MetaMask wallet to manage that private key for your FIO tokens, your FIO handles, if you purchase any domains as well, to do that. So, and we're definitely going down that rabbit hole. It's been a great experience working with the team. As far as I see, everybody I've met's been great. But it really does allow you to customize and build that wallet. I've always had this idea that a good wallet is going to be kind of give you almost like an everything, like different things you're looking for. And so with this, you can customize that process. Would you say it would be beneficial? Because right now, snaps are on pretty much desktop only, right, through the web
Yes, that's
browser.
correct.
And I know because there's a lot of complexities around building mobile apps and getting all that to work together, right? I think I've asked that question to you before on a Twitter space, I think, or X space, whatever you want to call it now. But would you think it would be advisable? So if someone's looking at building, maybe they can put full functionality into the Snap, and if there's other functionality that they want to have to be able to use in mobile, would it be like adapt that's maybe has some similar functionality, but not as in depth because the Snaps can provide more functionality?
Yeah, it's actually really interesting because if you want to provide a good user experience on mobile, you do need a deep wallet integration. There's a lot of limitations to what dApps can do on mobile and the way that a mobile application or a website on mobile can communicate with the wallet itself. So we're actually working on bringing the Snaps platform to mobile.
Yeah,
We have a lot of the underlying functionality in place. What we're working on right now is actually porting all of the user interfaces to mobile and getting full feature parity between what we have on Google Chrome and Mozilla Firefox today and what we need to be able to do on iOS and Android. So the idea is these applications will be able to run inside of the MetaMask mobile app and even potentially interact with mobile dApps and mobile websites. And there's a lot of reasons why this is important. One is that younger users, so like I'm like a elder millennial, right? But when we think about like younger millennials and Generation Z and so forth, they're more and more mobile first.
absolutely.
So you tell them about something and they take out their phone and expect to be able to go and do it on their phone, and it's not good enough to tell them, oh, sorry, it's on desktop only. Like that's like a non-starter for them. But also globally, in developing regions, in different parts of the world. Their primary computing device is a mobile device, right? It's a phone or a tablet. And so, it's not enough to just tell them, oh, well, this is desktop only, right? They are interacting with blockchains on mobile. They're trading on mobile. They're using Telegram, things like that on mobile. And so they expect to be able to do this on mobile. And so it is a priority for us to make sure that we provide these experiences on mobile as well.
Yeah, I never thought about it from that angle. You're right. I mean, I always thought the same thing, right? Most of the generation is mobile first, but in some of these countries, it's mobile only, right? That
That's right.
that that millennial or that the younger generation, they're going to have probably a laptop or desktop somewhere to where if they wanted to, yeah, they could go to it. They just prefer not to. Whereas with most people, I never thought about that. That's a good point. And I knew you guys were working on it. Like I said, I asked about it in the past. I knew it was priority. I also know it's not something. It's not something that's quick, right? You've got to.
Right.
It takes a
Yeah.
lot of time to work through all the complexities of um, of getting it into the mobile app, and then you've got to worry about getting the where that app lies, getting it approved, whether that be through Apple or Google. I know sometimes we've dealt with them in the past. It could be that could be it's not so much just getting it built; it's getting it approved too as an update within the within that app.
Yeah. I mean, we've seen some promising progress there as well in terms of like Epic has had a long running legal battle with Apple.
Yeah.
There's been some cases in the European Union where the European Union has said, hey, Apple has to allow other app stores, they have to allow users to have more freedom in the types of applications that they can install. Epic recently launched a mobile app store of their own,
Hmm.
which is on Android and then iOS in Europe only. But that's a
Wow.
ton of progress, right?
Yes.
So it's really cool to see that because for myself as a decentralization advocate, right? Users spend a lot of money to have these devices. They should have more freedom in what they can do with those devices. And so, for us to deliver the types of user experiences that we want users to have where they can customize their wallet on mobile, we're really excited about these types of opportunities, right? And so I'm actually not concerned about, whether or not we can provide it on mobile. It's just at this point, my engineers are tired of me asking about it. They're like, yes, we're working on it. That's the story.
I figured the progress because I know if I ask you about it, a lot of people probably ask you about it, and
Yes,
yeah,
yes.
that trickles from you to hey guys, are we almost there? So I can see that progress. Um, Interesting off topic. I don't know if you can or have any insight into this or not. So because it's just happened recently, but Apple announced they were open sourcing their tap to pay
Hmm.
within iOS. Do you see? Do you think that's something that MetaMask would take on and build functionality within the wallet, or do you think maybe that would be more another snap that somebody should build?
That's a really good question. I can't say anything specific. It's definitely, we're always exploring new ways to integrate with payment solutions. we recently launched MetaMask Card with MasterCard and banks as partners, which is really exciting. And we did it in a way that's quite unique. It allows you to link an account on Linea, which is our layer 2 network, and enforce all kinds of useful features like spending limits and so forth. So, and it allows you to spend, from your account when you use the card. So it's not just like a top up debit card that you put in a balance initially, right? So that's really exciting. And that's just one example of all the different ways that we're exploring integrating different types of payment solutions. I will say to the question of like, should a Snap developer integrate with it? The way Snaps works is we have to create a bridge with that API on the device for then the Snap developer to be able to take advantage of it. So we would initially have to build that API, but we are going to explore it. And I will also say that I think developers should explore even building their own custom integrations with it. I think it's something that people should play around with. It's a really exciting use case. We're also really excited in different contexts where different Web3 companies are exploring stable coin spending at point of sale. Obviously, Coinbase has done a lot of progress with getting brick and mortar stores to accept USDC and to be able to work with Coinbase Commerce as well. And so anything like that where people can actually spend crypto like they spend fiat as just like an everyday thing is really just, I think about it as we're unlocking the promise that we initially had many years ago of like, yes, you can use this like cash, and it's super exciting to see.
Yeah, that's interesting. I'm definitely gonna have to look into that card. Over the years, I've used many cards, crypto.com, but I found Coinbase is the one I use mostly now because I get paid in crypto. I need to spend crypto, and I can spend my balance from Coinbase, but to be able to have a non-custodial wallet, like my MetaMask, where I could spend funds from there. That's the one thing I hated was the top up feature because it's like, okay, it's not really a crypto debit card. I'm selling my crypto for cash, and then I'm swiping. If I don't have enough balance, I got to top up, and so it's just it's a friction point to where I'd rather just have it, convert or an exchange rate set when I swipe the card. And so that's basically what you're saying. You're saying is that live now? Is that available now?
It's live in Europe right now, so we're onboarding users in the UK and in Europe. I can't tell you, our time frame to launch it in more regions, but yeah, that's the idea. Is we wanted to make it a much better experience than what users had in the past with like a top-up debit card approach.
Nice. Well, I'm U.S. based, so I look forward to hearing an announcement about when it's available here. I know the complexities of living in the U.S. and
Yeah,
so,
right.
I'll just patiently wait and see what happens. Um, but yeah, that's good stuff. I mean, everything I've seen MetaMask doing is definitely improving that user experience. So a couple of the questions I have, and maybe you can or can't give me any kind of insight. Do you see a day where because I understand like when one of the things when I set up um, when I open up a MetaMask, say I'm a new user, I set up a MetaMask and I go in and having to add, I think one of the friction points I've seen is people having to like manually add these, manual add some networks, other networks that they want to support. Is there a process ongoing to have those kind of like not necessarily preloaded, but easier to choose to where I don't have to type in the RPC and everything else for to add and support a different network?
Yes, that's correct. So, and we've been making some progress in this area. Like one thing that we recently rolled out is token detection on various layer 2 networks and different layer 1 networks. So, initially we had, okay, if you have a token on Ethereum mainnet, we could identify that for you and just load those for you. We recently launched it so that you have it on Binance Smart Chain and Optimism and Arbitrum and Linea and so forth. So if you have tokens on those networks, you don't have to go and like manually add all of that information. And we've been working on moving away from like per network and the complexities of having to enable multiple different networks, and really just moving towards you have an account, you have assets on those different networks, then we can reveal that for you and bring in all that information. And so this sort of concept of like interoperability and cross-chain accounts and enabling that sort of cross-chain functionality is something that we've been working on, and we expect over the next couple quarters you're going to see a lot of exciting improvements in this area.
Gotcha. And that should be live now because I think recently I had someone send me a Morpheus token, which is on Optimism. And I
Hmm.
think so it automatically detected that if I remember right. So that should be
That's
live.
correct. Yeah. So that's already live on multiple different networks, and we're working on enabling more of that automatic functionality on those popular networks that people use.
Yeah, that's the biggest thing, right? The popular ones. There's always going to be these random new ones or not so popular, not very well known yet that you're still going to have to add manually no matter what. But definitely, the popular ones uh, as
Yeah.
well. Cool, good stuff. Good stuff. So, um, yeah, man, it's been really good catching up, talking about a lot of these things. I wanted to go into a few other topics, but we're almost at time. I think we could probably talk all day about some of the some of the other things we talked about in terms of NFTs, where we see that going, and some other things. But it's been great catching up, learning more about MetaMask. I mean, you guys have been, like you said, I mean, same. I've been a MetaMask user for I don't even know how long. I think it was years ago. I switched from my Ether to to MetaMask and never looked back. Um, so good stuff. Any other plans or any other announcements that could be coming up with MetaMask or Snaps that I know there's obviously a lot of things you can't talk about yet, but anything else coming up that you guys could share?
Yeah, I'll just mention that we have a couple cool features that we're adding into the Snaps platform that are going to be coming out within the next couple months. One is that we're integrating different naming providers. So not just ENS, but other services like Unstoppable Domains, Farcaster, Lens, etc. File names, you'll actually be able to, put in those names in the send flow, or as when you want to go and interact with another user, and those naming providers will be able to function with the same interface that we use right now for ENS. And another is that we're adding signature insights. So in the past, we had, security snaps that could warn you about malicious transactions. We're now going to have security snaps that can warn you about malicious signatures, which is, within, Ethereum, if you sign something malicious, an attacker can actually steal your funds. And so now you'll have, security products that can help protect you from any sort of instance like that. So yeah, that's really exciting. We recently launched something that we call swap and send, which is that if you want to send to another user and you have Ethereum, but they want USDC, you maybe have, something like that, you can actually in one step in the transaction, it'll convert that for you on the back end and everything. And so it's just really exciting that you can now essentially just not have to worry about, oh, I got to go convert my Ethereum to USDC to then send Wayne USDC. Now I just do it in one step. It's just a huge level up for users, much better experience.
Oh, that's nice. We've kind of had to rig that. Had to do that in the past, and it was like I would do
Absolutely.
like a simple swap or something, and say, okay, you give me your address where it's going to end up at, and I'll swap it through simple swap, and it'll send to them. But that's always a complexity that needs to be hidden from the user. So that's exciting to hear. Yeah, I'm a bit biased on the wallet naming system. I love to hear that because there's a lot. There's quite a few different Web3 domain naming services, and it's important to see we simplify that process. Long, complex wallet addresses, I've always told people, like, we need to hide those from the user,
Hmm.
just like we hide IP addresses from anybody using the internet for many years. Most people don't even realize there's an IP address back there anymore, right?
That's right.
And so that's the same thing. I was like, those complex wallet addresses are important, but why do you need to see them?
Exactly. Yeah. So it's really exciting to finally make real on that promise.
Yeah, awesome, awesome. Well, Christian, man, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. I'd definitely love for you to give a chance to let the audience know where they can follow more, follow the upcoming developments with MetaMask. Just let them know maybe website and socials where they'll be able to find you guys.
Absolutely. Yeah. So you can follow MetaMask on X, on Warpcast, and definitely sign up for our newsletter. And then we also have a MetaMask Dev account for developers. We have a developer newsletter as well. So if you find MetaMask Dev on X, or formerly Twitter, and sign up for our developer newsletter as well, that way you'll know about all the cool things that we're doing. And we're always excited to have more developers come and build cool experiences with us.
Awesome. So make sure to check them out. All right, Christian, it's been a pleasure talking to you today, learning more about MetaMask, MetaMask Snaps, and just that whole development process along the years. So excited to see what you guys are building. Always, I think, on the forefront. I think you're creating a model that many people are going to try to copy, right? Because these wallet developers, they can't put everything into a wallet, but you can build an ecosystem, and usually, the ones that are first out there with so many users are the ones that really succeed in doing that. So appreciate that. Appreciate all the support you and your team has provided. As a project that we've done, built a snap. There's been so much support, so much help. So much really just collaboration along the way. Even participating in some events that you guys have held. So, any final words for anybody listening before we wrap up?
I just always like to say, if you're hearing this and we're talking about like building cool things in blockchain and you're saying, well, I'm not a developer, it's always a good time to start. We want to empower the builder and everyone, even if it's just something to learn, even just to deploy your first contract, it's really exciting to do, or even just to learn how the blockchain works and how wallets work. So yeah, I would just invite everybody to try it out. We have some really cool tutorials in our documentation that you can follow. And I just, I say it because it's something that I enjoy, even just as a hobby and just as a way to learn how things work. And so we always want to encourage other people to try it out. So that's all I wanted to share.
Awesome, great stuff. So, thanks again, Christian, for joining us today. Thanks everybody for listening, and we will catch you on the next episode. Take care, everybody.